Okay, well, I want to go ahead. Okay, so there's Elena as well. Nice, nice, Elena. Jose, welcome, Jose. Super. Lady Chacon, UPTC, awesome. Welcome on board. It's always good to see friendly faces, and also always good to see returning faces as well. In that particular instance, and if this is our first time meeting each other, well, hopefully get an opportunity to meet each and every one of you personally very, very soon. Yeah, very, very soon. So it's good to see you again. Likewise, Gustavo, welcome again. I see Gustavo has been very advent in joining us these last couple of weeks. Good to see you again. Awesome, Gustavo. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get situated. So I want to welcome you to the, I should say, Facebook Live webinar series sponsored by the Masters in English Language Teaching for Autonomous Learning Environments and the Masters in English Language Teaching for Self-Directed Learning. Like I said again, get ready because we will continue to provide you with more sessions. We have the June sessions already set up, where we'll be working through the entire month of June, delivering you one session per week in that particular instance. The idea is that you have an opportunity to interact, to speak with our professors as well, but also we have an opportunity within our ELT community to kind of work together and look for new bonds, new relationships, and once again networking. So once again, be on the lookout for next week's sessions. I guess tomorrow, the flyers they start to go out to give you an opportunity for. They go out on Wednesdays, so you have an opportunity to see what's going on in that particular instance. All sessions, as you know, are on Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Colombian time. And as I said again, these spaces have been designed for you. So please do not hesitate to ask questions, interact with all of us while sharing your experiences as well, because this is very, very important. Okay. As I said a few minutes ago, remember to use the chat box to ask questions in case you have something that you wanted to bring up throughout. If I do not get to your question at that precise moment, I will save it so that we can talk about it towards the end of the session. Okay. Once again, once the session is complete, we'll be uploading that to the Unisavana ELT fan page. Usually within 24 hours, we upload the video so that you're able to share the video, look at it, and once again rewind if need be, just in case you get in a chance, tongue twister, to see everything that was going on. We also on the web page, I will be sharing that with you tonight as well, because the spaces on our web page now, we have a space now designed set up for all of the webinars that we have delivered thus far, as well as the ones that we're going to be delivering in the future. Okay. We do hope that you will enjoy this experience, of, being with us tonight in this particular capacity. And well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get situated with tonight's lesson because, like I said again, you guys are much more interested about what's going on in that particular instance. Tonight, using social media and ELT, how can social media make a difference in the ELT classroom, which I will be delivering tonight. Imagine that. So I am introducing myself for myself. It's all good. Yeah. Just as a quick reminder, I think we all know who I am, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But once again, I'll paste my bio data and a few other things inside the chat box, just for those who are just now joining me for the first time in that particular instance. I am currently the director of the master's programs in ELT at Savannah. I also teach research, and I also teach what we call content and language. And I'm also the editor of the Laclede Journal. And well, if in my free time as well, I'm also the director of the CLIL research area in that particular instance. I'm an experienced teacher trainer, and I've been doing lots of things at the Department of Foreign Languages and Cultures at the University of Savannah over the last 8 or 9 years. Okay. That's just to give you some ideas about who I am in that particular instance. And I will just paste my bio data here just in case you want to get some ideas about who I am in that particular instance for those of us who are just joining me for the first time. In addition to that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our program for tonight because I'm sure that's what we're interested in, not really about who Jermaine is. But at the same token, if you get excited and you like what you see, I would be more than happy to if you would follow me, we follow each other, and we can continue to make, I should say, establish relationships and things of that nature. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about how can social media actually make a difference inside the classroom. The question I'm often tasked with, and just in case you didn't remember the platform, I have a series of questions I'm going to answer. Okay. If you have questions as well, I would love for you to put them in the chat box. But in the same token, towards the end, we will have an opportunity for you, the audience, to interact and figure out what we got going on in that particular instance. Okay. So in terms of social media, can it make a difference inside the classroom? Well, I've been using social media now for a long time, and even when it was controversial, I should say, controversial in that particular instance. When I say controversial, when it was totally 100%, when the BlackBerry days, when it was just prohibited from being used inside the classroom, from even being even used, everything was blocked at the schools. YouTube, you couldn't look at it; it was just off limits. It was terrible. Facebook was, oh my God, it was just the devil himself. Came to earth with technology. So I remember back in those times, I tried to come up with some ideas on how we could take advantage of all the, I should say, things that were prohibited and try to employ them and put them inside the classroom. From there, my passion, my motivation, I'm saying more than 12 plus for 14 years ago, came about in that particular instance. So I'm going to be sharing some of those ideas and things with you tonight. All right. So to give you some ideas as to the benefits of why we have social media and social media, how that can actually interact or help our students. I have two things here. We're looking at, in that particular instance, we're looking at two different things here. We are looking at information related to what? Looking at information related to what we call traditional media, okay? Traditional media. And when I talk about traditional media, as you can remember, we talked about one-way communication, connectivity. We talk about things like transmission, presentation, instruction, image, or even, I should say what? Audience. But this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about what we call social media and where we have other types of things that are going on. For example, we have what we call many way communication. There are many different outlets. It's not just only one person, but there are many individuals going on. Instead of connectivity, we have interactivity. And that's the portion that I like a lot because we are all interactive. We're all interactive. And as a result of being interactive, we have many things that we got going on. Okay. We talk about transmission, but there's also participation. Okay. As you see tonight, I saw Miguel, I think his name was. His hand just went up a few times. Miguel, I'll get to you in a few minutes. We have participation before the news outlets, the media, and things of that nature. It's only one way. This is what someone said, and this is what everyone else had to listen to. Okay. Nowadays, it's not that way. It's much more participatory, where we also have an opportunity to work and also do things. Presentation, but now what are we doing? We're having a conversation, and conversations are key because it allows not just the learner, not just yourself, but it allows all of those involved to what? Participate, to actually talk to each other, to interact and do some other things as well. I like this one here because it's all about what? It's talking about instead of instruction, me telling you what to do, it's about collaboration. We working together, all of us working together collectively in order to get things done. You see? And then when I talk about an image, because we see lots of images, I have a couple of them here in the slides, but we talk about authenticity. When I talk about authenticity, we have the opportunity to really use things in real time, access videos in real time, access the news in real time. Actually, I can go and visit a library in another country. I can actually go to visit a museum, millions of miles away from here. And it's all what? Real. It's all real. And that's the good thing. It's authentic. Okay. And last but not least, we're not just looking for an audience. We're looking for a community. I said a few minutes ago that these spaces that we have here tonight and we have had every Tuesday for the last month, they correspond to what? Building an ELT, a stronger ELT community throughout Colombia or throughout Latin America. Because all of us, we have something to share. Today, I am sharing some ideas with you. Tomorrow, I could be listening to some of you as well, sharing some other things that you're doing inside your institutions, at your schools, your universities, and your classrooms. Because why? The goal now is with social media is for us to build community. So these are just some of the reasons why social media is actually engaging in terms of the teaching and learning process. What else can I say? These are some of the things that we already know, but I'm not going to harp on that because today is not talking about all these tools. I'm just going to be focusing on this one right here. But in the classroom nowadays, we have about 9 different categories in which the information that we are using we can see not the information but the tools. We talk about blogging, games, and quizzes, and you guys just give me a show of hands or even a smiley face if you have recognized anything here that I have seen. One of the categories you have used at least one of these at least once in your teaching profession, and I think this week right here you would probably have, between yesterday and today, you have probably used several of these. Okay. Games and quizzes. We talk about mind mapping. Very good, Judith. Bookmarking, instructional video, presentations and slideshows, animation and comic strips. You see? So as you can see right here, we have several different things that we are actually doing inside the classrooms, several. And so tonight I'm going to focus just briefly on some of the things we're doing in terms of social media. And social media it falls under the umbrella, I should say, of information communication and technology. It falls under that umbrella, okay? Which is why it's here as one of the items on the list. But as you can see, we're doing lots of things in our classroom. So tonight I'm going to be with you this little area right here, okay? What else can I tell you? How social media, how can that be applied in terms of language learning? Because for the most part, that's why most of us are here. We all have something in common. We are language professionals. We are delivering, I should say, content I should say, in English per se. All right, and we are doing it for many different types of learners and many different types of individuals. And we're always looking for ways, okay, strategies, opportunities to make the teaching and learning process a lot better. For example, we use it at the beginning to support the process of conveying information and communicating. Okay, I think we all agree there. Another way is serve as a media in terms of bridging and enabling the learning processes. Once again, direct communication. Serves also as a teacher or even a tutor in that particular instance. And I think we all can agree that it is, once again, it's inseparable what we call a reference book, because there's so many things out there that I think nowadays, not just our students, our learners, if we want to find something out before, I used to go to, one of my encyclopedias that I had at home. And then after that, we had Encarta. Microsoft was nice enough to put all that information online. And then we branched out into Wikipedia. And Wikipedia, well, it was a bit tainted, so we couldn't believe everything that was said there. And along the way, we stopped going to the library to look for information. We stopped going. Now we have an array of digital resources, tools at our fingertips within a millisecond that we ask and we get the answer. For example, where am I going? Where for example, a recipe to cook, or maybe dinner to go out, or maybe the best place to buy tires for your car. That's us as consumers. But also in terms of education, what's the best tool to use? How could this be done? Hey, any ideas about assessment? Hey, does anybody else have what we call problems with large classrooms? Because once again, we do. So we use these types of technologies, and especially social media nowadays, as a reference book, okay? And so these are things that are, once again, interesting. Before they were called taboo, but as you can see, little by little, more than a decade now, okay, I've been dealing with this. It is little by little becoming a part of the teaching and learning process, but much more naturally in that particular instance. Okay, what else can I say? But what can I do inside the classroom? Because I talked about some of the tools, but what are some of the things we can do? Here we have presentation. We can present, and in a few minutes, I think I have some time. I would love to get some ideas from you guys. Practice. How are you practicing the language using social media per se? Authoring, authorship. How are we dealing with that? Computer assisted assessment, computer aided assessment. Referencing. How are we using software or social media or these types of tools online to reference, to publish? Okay. There's communication, of course, and there's simulation. So take 1 minute, if you not even a minute, I think it probably take maybe 20 seconds. If you could please maybe write down your favorite or what you are accustomed to using in this particular instance. For example, Jermaine, I put presentation, or I put presentation and practice, or all of them for the most part. Just give me some ideas about what are you doing nowadays? What are you doing nowadays? What are you using these types of tools for now? Because I am going to assume, okay, that this is not the first time you've heard a talk like this, and I'm also going to assume that you are somehow familiarized with lots of the things that I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to give you some tips on how to do it and use it from a different perspective, but I'm sure you're doing. So any ideas? Any takers here? Anybody? How are we doing this now in terms of language learning? Any ideas? Okay, thank you so much, Evelyn. Gotcha. Judith, super. Practice referencing communication. Andres is only for referencing. Good, Andres, super. Anybody else? Go ahead. Communication mainly, Elena. Thank you so much. Jose, TPR, super. Practicing referencing as well as authoring. Communication as well, Evelyn, awesome. Gustavo, Evelyn, gotcha. Super. So as you can see, we have many different ways in which we interact, many different ways in which we do this. Sylvia telling me she's using this for presentation purposes. Okay, Sylvia, thank you. All right. And as you can see, most of us, we don't realize it, and do lots of things in terms of authoring as well as publishing. because the more we author and the more our students publish and things of that nature, the more they take control over their learning process, but also they start to kindle and not kindle, but they start to appreciate and value what they write, knowing that it's going to be publicized throughout. Okay, so good job there. What can I say? What are other people are saying about social media and why, how the benefits of engaging learners with this type of resource inside the classroom? For example, over here, we're talking about social media is not just it's nature to most of our students. It's natural to them. Okay, it's natural, and most of us it's natural because we have it right here. Most of us at the palm of our hands. And the younger, I'll give you an example. Today, I have a god daughter. She is 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. Okay. And so she called me via WhatsApp. She called, not her mom, but she called me. Padrino, she says she needs some help with her English homework. And I'm like, okay, sure, Sarah. So then she called me again. And she said, Padrino, when are we going to meet on Zoom? 8 years old now. And I sent her another message back and I said, no, we're going to get together in a few minutes. She said, okay, because I need to know if I'm going to connect to the meeting. She didn't say the class or she didn't say the session. She said the meeting, reunión, encuentro. Yeah. She said, I need to know where am I going to connect on the cell phone or am I going to connect on a laptop? Because I need to get organized, Padrino. And so it was quite interesting. But like I said again, it's becoming very natural for them nowadays. And in this particular time, it's even amazing. Okay. Social networks aren't websites, they're about experiences. And we talked about experiences not too long ago. We talked about authenticity. We're talking about genuine, unique, real things. You see, living, I should say, natural disasters, but in real time, all the way on the other side of the world. I'm able to see what's going on. Social media is interaction driven and user controlled over user generated content, around user generated content. So what are you talking about? The users. Okay. You are, our students, we are creating all the content. So the content that used to be handed to us before, it's all outdated. We don't anymore. Now our students are creating the information. They are creating the content. And as a result of creating that content, we can do so much more. And last but not least, we talk about what? We do not have a choice on whether we do social media or not. The question is, how well do we do it? Okay. So it's not if you want to do it or not. That's not the question. The question is, okay, you're doing it. How can you include it in your classroom? And how well are you going to get those types of things done? Okay. So when do I start using social media in my class? Another question do I have, because is it use it? Don't I use it? I like this, but my students don't. Well, this is a key question, and I think hopefully I'm able to answer it. But if I have questions, feel free to start sticking your questions there inside the chat box. When planning, like anything else, using ICTs, using TICs, using additional tools and things of that nature, okay, we need to have a clear statement of purpose. A clear statement of purpose. And if we do not have a clear statement of purpose, guess what? Well, the purpose is going to be bogus. It's not. There's not going to be a end to a means. We need to have what we call a pedagogical means for using this. That clear statement of purpose corresponds to what is my pedagogical objective? What are my pedagogical means? Why or how can this particular tool help me overcome a problem or something I'm struggling with in my class? Okay, that's the idea. I see Gladys I don't know if you have a question, Gladys, or Gail, you're just testing out the software. If you have a question, stick it in the chat box when I finish talking in about, I think, maybe 10 minutes, 12 minutes. All yours. I'll listen to your voices. All right. And in addition to that, once again, once we figure out our clear statement of purpose, then we can start to decide on what tool we are going to use. Okay, because if I don't know how, okay, for example, I want to increase communication in the classroom. Okay, but communication is humongous. What do I want to increase? What do I want to do? As a result, I may figure out, well, I want to increase maybe the fluency or the accuracy of using these particular sounds or using these particular, aspects. Okay, what can I do? What can I use to get my students to once again self-reflect and figure out how they sound, so that they can actually change their own language. Okay, what tool can I use? I can even use a tool like WhatsApp in order to make that happen. I can even use the audio video options on my cell phone or their cell phones to make it happen, for example. Okay, so the idea is that you choose a tool that's going to best enable you to collect the information or achieve the desired outcomes. That is the goal. That is the goal. Okay, which means the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. And so if I have something that's going to be working, I need to figure it out. If it does not work, what do? I go back to the drawing board. I go back over here again, and I try to figure out what is going to be what my pedagogical objective. What is my statement and purpose? Remember, I told you at the beginning, I started doing this when I should say Facebook was taboo. So as a result, my bosses, they came to me and said, "Ooh, are you crazy? You're going to be doing what? Using Facebook in the class? You got to be kidding me. You want me to ask the parents for permission to use the Blackberries in the classroom? We just sent a letter, un comunicado last week saying that it was prohibited. And now you want me to allow them?" I said, "Of course." So I had to convince the academic committee because they were like, "Uy, no, eso no se puede hacer." Then I had to convince the academic director at the time, and I had to convince quite a few other people. But guess what? What did I have? I had a clear pedagogical reason for using it. It was literature. I was trying to teach eighth graders about genres, okay, about memoirs. All right, and if you don't realize, I was using a clinical literature textbook about this big. It was like a Bible. It was unbelievable, and I had to teach them how to use memoirs. I said, well, what am I going to do there? My God, I'm running out of cool ideas because these are eighth graders. These are teenagers in full, development, and trying to get them to talk about literature in a Colombian classroom. Oh gosh, I need to be creative. And as a result, I was creative and I came up with Facebook. We created fictitious, make believe, I should say, profiles. They assumed the characters and identity of other individuals. They lived the life of other people. They had to research, they had to write, they had to talk about it, they had to do lots of things. And they had to keep a diary. Where was the diary? Inside the Facebook, in the notes that we used at that particular time. At the end, they compiled, organized, and guess what? Voila, it worked out well. Parents were extremely excited. um, my other colleagues were like, "Ooh, how did you get that to happen?" And my students, at the end of the day, had a greater appreciation for the tool that we use. In this case, it was Facebook, but they realized we could use that tool for something else that was a bit more meaningful, but also connected to their lives. You see, that's where we got it. So I'm going to give you a couple examples, so I can get you to, so we can talk and do something else besides talk to me. What can I do with Twitter? What can I do with Twitter? Twitter is one of my favorites. It's one of the ones we have out there. I like to experiment a lot inside the classrooms with it, but here's one. So these are some ideas. Okay, these are some ideas. We can, for example, keep up with the trends. For example, one, teachers can talk on Twitter. There are lots of educational hashtags, which I have here. Hashtags, okay? Hashtags, lots of them. And if you just Google, if you can Google in anywhere you want, educational hashtags for 2019, educational hashtags for 2019, educational hashtags for primary, for secondary, for blended learning, for etc. And you will get a whole bunch of lists. What happens with the hashtags? They bring us together. They bring all the tweets together. They bring all the ideas together. They bring all the knowledge together. And so we can work from there. You see, they get new ideas, share with your other professionals. Once again, we can do something else. For example, I get feedback from my students. I can ask my students to tweet questions, their questions and comments. Okay. I can keep around a list of the questions with my students at the end. I can even address some of the things that they have either in the classroom, if time permits, if the age limit allows me, or in Twitter as well. Okay. What else right here? I can get my students to summarize. That's what it says right here. This is summarize. Yeah. Okay. Helps them to see what students remember. Okay. Keep in mind, Twitter requires us, it used to be 140 characters. It's already cranked up to 280, but 280 characters for someone it's a challenge, it's a skill, it's a competence that lots of us we do not have. Try to be precise. Try to answer the question within 280 characters. It's challenging, of course, but it's also fun. I can also come up with storytelling. So if I have 25 students in my class, I can start with a question and the others can add on to my question. Or I can start with describing a character or changing the ending of a story that we just watched together, either a movie, a video, or a book chapter that we're reading. I get them to change the endings. I can copy in who? The authors. I can copy in the editorials, and they get a chance to see what we're doing. You see, and we have first-hand knowledge and communication contact with these people. Okay, I can also connect with maybe other classes from not just here in Colombia throughout, but throughout the world. Once again, we can connect together through what? Hashtags. We had our own hashtags. between here and there based on the topics that we were working on. Another project that I did at the time, Twitter was not exciting and it was not very popular, but I did another project related with using YouTube, making videos with the Amazon jungle. So here we are with the Amazon jungle with my Colombian students actually going to the Amazon jungle for a field trip for a week, okay? Una salida pedagógica, field trip. And some colleagues in the United States, in this case, they were in Texas, they were actually studying about the Amazon jungle and everything else. So it was interesting because I was with a group of ninth graders here in Colombia, and they were a group of sixth and seventh graders in the U.S. in middle school. It was interesting because my Colombian students in English taught the students, I should say, in the U.S. about I should say I can't even talk, the Amazon jungle. Sorry about that. And as a result of teaching about the Amazon jungle, there were lots of myths and taboos that both children had. My Colombian students also had an opportunity to speak in Spanish, and my English, my American colleagues, they had an opportunity to practice their Spanish, okay, to real authentic, Colombian students here, all around the same topic. In this particular case, the Amazon jungles. So we made lots of videos together. We made lesson plans together. We did tons of things together. We did it for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, and we finally were able to put together a real live, what we call what, exchange program. Colombians went to the States, and these children in the States came to Colombia. And we stayed 1 month in one house here and another month over there. So it was an awesome experience. All starting with what? A common interest. Very good. What can I tell you? Here's some other examples about Facebook. I already gave you one example or several that I've used thus far. Okay. Here's another one. And we can create the groups in Facebook, create groups. That's another easy way to do it. It's nothing complex in nature. These groups are closed groups, okay? Privacy settings. So you don't have to worry about any lurkers, anybody else kind of, harping in on my class. It's my class with me and anybody else that I invite to the class. At the end of the experience, depending on the age level, I invite parents or even school administrators so they can see that, hey, you can do lots of things with social media, okay? What we call here, document class adventures and projects. This is as you know, our students nowadays, they love to, share selfies and pictures and videos and hey, hey, hey. So we can do, for example, classroom projects closed once again, and they can upload the information. But if you want them to be open, they can be open as well. We can get feedback from the rest of the community. Jermaine McDougall's, fifth grade classroom. Larry Brown's 10th grade science or biology, etc. The idea is we document the experience, we share pictures, and we get information, things of that nature, all helping them to live the experience. Why? Because they're used to doing it anyway. And if I can connect what they do inside the classroom to what they do at home, even better for me. What about this one right here? Live to provide additional help. Well, as you know, the Facebook Live option, we could have done this tonight on live, but we can do other things as well. I can record the videos. The space I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about where am I going to store the information. It's there. Okay. Excellent way to do what? Record, share videos. I can even maybe give a 5-minute video on a difficult lesson, question and answer series. Instead of me responding to 20 different emails, I can just have it in my Facebook group. I can do a couple of Facebook lives. And once again, so guys, after reading the exam, the test, the quiz, etc., I realize that most of you have the same difficulties. Remember, punctuation is important. Remember, you have to use capitalization. Remember, I need more descriptive language, etc., etc., etc. But now I can do it. I can record it. I can record it. I don't have to worry about uploading it to YouTube. But that's another tool. If I want to do YouTubes, you can do YouTubes. But I'm talking about Facebook, how easy it is to click enter, record a video, voila, it's in your classroom, gone. Okay. Create Facebook polls. You can ask them, hey, so what is the best route to take when I should say developing this and developing that? Take 2 minutes and do it right there. And it's interesting, you can do it there. Or I can use a third party software, something totally different to have the same experience. The goal is that Facebook offers you lots of tools that you can use, and as a result of those tools, you can do lots of things in that particular instance. You see, lots of things in that particular to help you out. I just finished publishing, I should say, not too long ago, an article about a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, no, actually 2 months ago, and I'll stick it here in the chat box in a few minutes about Facebook. So, like I said again, I do practice what I preach. It is available, so I'll get you guys to get a look at it in a few minutes to see what's going on. To see what's going on, to see what you like, or you give me your feedback, which is key because, like I said again, I do one, and I will continue to do some other things as well. Okay. All right. What else can I tell you? So in that particular instance here, I think here it is right here, and I'll just stick that here. That way, as I am speaking, you can take a look at the article if you want, and we can continue moving on with the cool. Here's one right here that I just got published right there. So you take a look at that one and see. And I just told you about this one right here, developing what we call fake profiles for characters. And this was a really good one. And this allowed the students not only to understand what I told you before about creating memoirs in a literature class, but it helped them to better understand cultural differences. Because I asked my students to be, I am from originally from Charleston, South Carolina. Okay. And as a native from Charleston, South Carolina, I always try to be an ambassador. And so I practice what I preach. I know what I know well. So I know my city very well. And so what do? I give them opportunities and examples from they had to become a college student, live in a college dorm. They had to create their lives. So where did they go to high school? Where did they go to middle school? What neighborhood did they live in? Everything had to be coherent. Okay, they couldn't live here, and then they couldn't live in, for example, in South Carolina and Charleston, but they went to school in New York. Now, you had to investigate, research, read about Charleston, look about the different schools, think about the different neighborhoods. So I gave them, a list of, I should say, questions to guide them. But once again, these are real things that took place, and really we learned lots of things. Cultural differences. I mean, the list is long about what we learned, but it was interesting, you see. So even though the tool itself was fun and engaging, we learned so many more things, so many more things that I accomplished my pedagogical objective, which was to write a memoir. Yes, I did. Did I get some other collateral benefits as well? Of course. Culture, communication, history, geography. We learned about working together, collaboration, sharing, and we also got really good at typing and also good at looking up information. You see, all of this as a result of selecting the right tool for you to do in terms of your pedagogical, I should say, objective. Okay. Blogs. People are sometimes downplaying blogs. Blogs are still a very important tool inside the classroom. Give you some ideas. For example, they can share what they know with the world, hosting blogs, inviting others in the classroom to see what they've learned. That's one idea. They can reflect on what they've learned throughout the blogs. Okay, in elementary school, this is a good way for them to get familiarized, I should say, with using the internet, familiarized with using web tools, and familiarized with typing skills. You see, because nowadays the typing class is not as, I don't know, as popular as it used to be. Remember, I learned how to type on a typewriter. You see, on a typewriter. I didn't learn on the computer, on a typewriter. You see, but nowadays, these are cool things that you can help them out with. Teachers can also post blogs to parents, keep them in the loop, and figure out what's going on about your child's learning, your classrooms, and even larger ones. They can host their own blogs. Okay, online discussion forums. Sometimes you have your own, I should say, internal platforms. But once again, if you can use a tool that can help them facilitate the learning process, go for it. If not, but don't use it. I remember an experience. I had one teacher. She told me she wanted to do a research project on blogs. The first question I asked was, do you have a blog? And the response was no. Have you even worked with blogs before? The response was no. So my question was, so why in the world do you want to use blogs in your class? You yourself have never opened, even used a blog, but you like the idea. You see, it's not coherent. You see, so the idea is we pick things that we know well, but we also pick things that are going to be pedagogically sound and interesting for us inside the classroom. That's the goal. And these are some of the things we can do in terms of discourse. For example, short posts, informal colloquial language, first person perspective, contemporary topics, taking on the form of dialogue, etc. I have also done some other research with blogs, and that was a really good project. And we did it related, and I think I can find the article here in a few minutes. But that article was a good one because we talked about what? We talked about using blogs with university students in Bucaramanga and university students here in Bogota. And we wanted them to understand about narratives, how to write narratives, okay? And how to understand the difference of narratives. And we also wanted to increase critical thinking. and we wanted them to become much more critical of their own writing, but also critical of their, classmates and coworkers' writers as well. So that's another spot. I think I have it. I have it here. I'll look for it in a couple of seconds, and I'll be more happy to share that with you as well. Okay. So I told you this was quick because I wanted to get some time for you to answer some questions, to talk to you guys, and figure out what's going on. So, to conclude, because I don't have any questions so far, so I have to keep talking. So, social media, it's growing and it will continue to grow, and it's growing fast. It's amazing. Okay. There are tons of opportunities for us and approaches for us to what we call transmit education, as well as planning teaching materials in that particular instance. Since the sky's the limit, we have lots of tools out there, lots of information. The idea is to figure out what is it that we can do in order to make the process much more beneficial. Okay. I can also say that the social media platforms, once again, they do what? Provide you, me, and our students with a whole bunch of what? Advantages to do what? For instructional materials. The list that we have in terms of resources are endless. Endless. Which means you will never run out of ideas and run out of to do in terms of, I should say, resources that you can use or even include inside your classroom. It's amazing because you may start looking at one thing and then you may end up finding many more tools and other aspects that you could use inside your classrooms. You can also find, I should say, co-workers. You can find, I should say, colleagues. You can do lots of things in terms of networking, researching, etc., etc., etc. In that particular instance. What else can I tell you in terms of, I should say, conclusions? Well, remember, you need to choose. Oh yeah, I'm headed right there, Uriel. Yeah, remember to choose social media in accordance to your pedagogical objectives. And once again, try to think outside of the box. Think outside of the box. You see, making meaningful, authentic learning to occur. Okay. So with that said, I am officially, I should say, done with my portion, sharing some ideas with you. But now I would love to hear from you. I saw a couple of hands go up, and I just want to talk with Ariel. Uriel. Uriel says we need to have a plan B if it doesn't work. Yes, you are so right, Uriel. You need to have a plan A, B, and C. I would even say so. Okay. Technology is great. But some of the things that we don't realize in order to have a really good experience with these types of things, either inside or outside. If you have a weak, I should say, connection inside the classroom, I would suggest you don't spend a lot of time trying to implement new ideas and tools using technology. They would become extension activities that could be done at home. Extension activities that could be done at home. And as a result of those extension activities that are being done at home, you can complement those types of things inside the classroom. Complement them inside the classroom. And as a result, you have better results. But if you do have dedicated internet and you can get things done, go for it. But even more so, for example, today, I mean, a few weeks ago, I was with a group of teachers from Mexico during Semana Santa, and it was about 150, 200 teachers. We were working together, and for whatever reason, my laptop just froze. However, I always have my sessions going twice between two machines just because. So it took me about 30 to 45 seconds to realize that I needed to change. But guess what? The transition for me, my plan B, was easy. I just, closed the session here and I continued with my other session there. And the audience didn't realize that, I had some computer issues, you see? And so these types of things happen. We should have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and well, hopefully it's not a plan D. Otherwise, we're going to be spending a lot of extra time this year. Okay. So now I'm going to open the room up for questions. I have lots of questions I would like to get. So we teachers, we also need to keep in touch. Okay. So Mary, you're so right, Mary. Schools, we have policies. All of us, we have policies. And as a result of the policies that we have, Mary, it is good that we confine and we correspond and we actually we are in line with what the schools or the universities are doing. Okay, I said before, I asked for permission when I was including technologies inside the classroom. I was asking for permission, especially I'm dealing with young learners. I need the parents to give me their permission in order to do certain things. So understanding and knowing about your school policies in terms of how you can connect ICTs is as a humongous, I should say, role, or I should say area that you need to deal with. I was in Peru a couple of years ago, and they invited me to talk about social media and technologies and some other things. And so before my presentation, a couple days before, they called me over and they said, well, we want to see what you're going to say. And I said, sure. And I go, why? They said, well, we don't want you to talk about anything that's against our school policies, our institutional policies here. And I go, what are you talking about? And they say, yes, we want to make sure that what you're saying does not contradict, because we invited you to come from Colombia to here. We cannot have you contradict what we already believe in. And I'm like, okay. So I almost had to change, I think, about 45 to 50% of my presentation. It was a plenary. I had about 500, 600 people in the audience. So, you know, because of the same reasons that Mary's talking about, I could not contradict those types of things. Cool. So Miguel says, do you consider the teacher, learners, and parents will need training to avoid problems and situations? Miguel, I totally agree with your brother. Yes. Teachers, we need training, and learners, they need training, and parents also. So according to the age level, Miguel, I'm not sure what age level you're working with, but I will give you several scenarios. Scenario one, elementary school, preschool, elementary. My students, they need software or they need tools that are user friendly for them, that they can actually access, they can actually use, and it's easy for them to move around. Okay. Two, they need some type of guidance, they need practice, and so I need to train them up before I actually start to use it officially inside the classroom. Small activities, a few minutes a day to get them where they need to go. One. Two, if I'm working with young learners, preschool, primary, I need to inform the parents as well. So I would normally give them like a circular, a mini, I mean, an email, a little short letter, and explaining them, okay, we will be using this tool in the classroom. As a result, we need your help on this. And if you need help, I'll be more than happy to attend you. Now, when I did large scale projects at schools, I opened what we call Escuela de Padres, parent teacher meetings, and they would come in, Parent Teachers Association. I would write them to the school, and I would do that for them. Nowadays, it's so much easier because I can record a video step by step and have them go in. Not as easy as we think it is, parents, right? Or I would have spaces like this right here where I would work with the parents if it's a long term project and if the parents' support is needed. If not, well, no. The more complicated your project or your tool is, Miguel, I would stay away from it. Okay, we look for tools that we can use that are easy, that can help us with our pedagogical goal, etc. If I'm working with teens, okay, the learning curve is a lot faster. Okay, learning curve is a lot faster, but I still need to have what? Patience. I need to have patience, and I need to show them, and I need to give them some really clear ground rules. If you don't give them clear ground rules, guess what? They're going to do what they want to do. They're going to be looking at other things, and you're going to get frustrated, and it's not going to work. Clear guidelines, connection between your class and the tool that they're going to be using. Okay. So hopefully I answered your question, Miguel. But yes, the response is yes. And if we're dealing with teachers, colleagues, coworkers, yes, we need to have spaces within the institutions so that they can get spun up not only on the tool but actually get spun up, Miguel, on their, I should say, digital literacies and their digital competencies. That's what I would say, because those digital literacies competencies allows me as a learner or teacher, whoever, to move or navigate across many different platforms regardless of who they are. I know how to troubleshoot, I know how to look for, I know how to fix problems, and I also know how to do certain elements. You see, you would be surprised, Miguel, about the amount of teachers that do not know how to do these types of things. So, Judith, examples of learning results evaluation when using social media spaces tools such as Super, my dear. Examples. I got several examples. I can share some of the literature, some of the articles that I've written, because within those articles I have, I should say, real life evidence proof as to the learning process. It worked or didn't work. For starters, Judith, I will tell you that the motivation levels increased. Motivation levels increased. Communication between teacher, me, and student also increased and enhanced. Okay. Three, accessing the tools that I have used or the material that I have provided. For example, an additional video or a question or a comment or a blog or just a reading increased. The reading, the readership increased, meaning that they were able to access the information a lot faster. They were even interested in reading what I even put out there, and they even commented on it, versus using a standardized or institutional platform in order to get the same result. My results were worse, meaning that what? I put a blog out, not a blog, but I have a forum in Moodle or one of these other learning management systems, and like anything else, it's all incorporated. So I put it in there. Guess what? The learning process I have seen over the years has been somehow artificial, generic. The students respond because es que me toca, because I have to. That's it. But not really putting anything into it. I've realized that, for example, when using social media to respond, especially with this last paper that I did with Facebook, my university students, they were intrigued. Why? I would be on my way home, okay, leaving the office, leaving the university, and before I even get home, I would look in my phone or just traffic is crazy in Bogota, so you get a time to look in a few things or in my tablet, and I would see that more than half of the class have already participated and have already responded to what I want. So meaning that the reaction time was also faster. Why? Because they don't need a password. It's already here. You see? Whereas if I go to an institutional platform, I have to log in first to the institutional page. Then I have to go find my class, like 5 or 6 more clicks, and then I have to find the space within the digital, world in which I'm in to answer the question. Then I gotta scroll through to see, what else. So just for me to get into the classroom, it's gonna take me about 5 to 7 minutes. Way too much. With social media, I'm already there because I'm already a part of the class. So when one of my classmates respond, guess what? It pops up. Santi G just responded. Ay, Santi, genial, me gusta. Thank you, Santi, for responding. Hey, did you see something else? And what it does is also it promotes them and pushes them to use some of the other social media or technological tools that exist already. We can share articles in CNN. I push them to use things in Discovery Channel. I get them to read other things if that's, I mean, depending on, I should say, the age level, Judith, we can get so many things done. But the result has been favorable for starters because of the motivational level has increased a lot more. As a result of having an increased motivation level, guess what? I am much more intrigued, open to learning more things. And so that's half the battle. So hopefully I was able to answer your questions there, Judith. Super. Angie, talked about using, so what about the challenges you have faced? Yes, I am. As Angie, there are also challenges. And I'm glad you brought that up because I did have 4 slides about challenges. I took it out because, well, sometimes we harp more on the negative than the positive. But I will tell you, chapter one, the students are distracted. Why? Because there's no clear direction, Angie, between one and the other. Students are distracted. Two, there's no real connection between pedagogy, or I should say my class, and what needs to get done. There's no connection. Okay. I was just talking to my son a couple days ago, and he's 14, and he had an assignment. He's, we got to do this. I said, but for what reason? I said, but oh, what do you got to do, brother? Well, I got to do this, but I don't understand. What do you? And so I'm looking at the instructions. I was trying really hard to be nice without being critical. As teachers and as a parent, we are critical. And so what I found is that there was no real connection. So I said, hey, why don't you write to your teacher? This was science, I think it was. And no, I think I knew it was. So write to your teacher and these are some options and let me know what you come out with, right? So lots of times the students are distracted by other things. Two, there's no real connection. Three, the tool that we're using, Angie, is complex, meaning that we did not allow our students time enough to practice and we're already trying to assess them on it. We have to allow them time. Think about scaffolding. Yeah, we have to go through the entire scaffolding process when we are introducing a new tool. That's what the problem was. One of my son's teachers changed the platform just because they were using Google Meet, and out of the blue they wanted to use WebEx. And I go, but WebEx, brother? But come on, the school just sent me an email a couple days ago saying that standardized, we're going to be using either Zoom or Meet. And this guy comes out with something new. And guess what happened? Out of the 45-minute class, 38 of those minutes were dedicated to what? Troubleshooting, Angie. Trying to get students to log in. And guess what? The class was finished. So there was no class. So there was 45 minutes of somebody's precious time gone. Well, because why? We as teachers, we found another tool that we liked, but we never taught our students how to use it, nor did we consider the consequences that could take place as a result of changing one tool or another tool. You see, that's the idea. Another one of my students, they asked me, hey, my school is considering changing from platform A to platform B. What do you think? How long have you had platform A? Ooh, about 3 months, 4 months now. And why do you want to change to B? Because the school wants to. I said, well, you can argue that. Well, it takes time, especially for my preschoolers. Okay, my preschoolers and my primary school students to do what? To understand how to use the software, to get in, to click, to enter, to go on and do lots of things. Although most of the platforms are similar, But at the end of the day, the idea is I want to take away from, time, me teaching them and actually them using the tool on their own to get lots of other things done. So hopefully, Angie, I was able to answer your question. Super. Any other questions out there? No, no more questions? Come on, you guys are. Yeah, okay. So if there are no more questions, like I said again, I was just hoping to have some more input. But okay, oh, here we got Mary's another one. So yeah, Mary, you bring up a good point. Most of our students, I think, they are, yes, they are literate. They are digitally literate, and so they are excited. The problem is that we are not as they should. We are not as fast as they are. Our students are much more open, Mary, and much more prone to using something different. However, we are not. We are accustomed to using one thing and one thing only, and that's that. So we, as teachers, we have to learn how to become flexible. We, as teachers, we also need to learn how to become, I should say, much more, I should say, open-minded to the new things that are going on. And we also have to understand that sometimes our students may know more than us when it comes to a particular tool, and that's okay. If they know how to use this particular tool better than me, go for it. Show me. Thank you so much. Awesome. Or I have one tool and they say, hey, teacher, and it's happened to me before. I came to another program. I was a visiting teacher, went to another university, and they said, hey, and they didn't have a platform. So I came out with a new platform. And you know what they told me? They said, listen, Jermaine, thank you. It's nice, Edmodo. But listen, we've been working with Google Docs, have our own system here in Google. And these are university students in an undergraduate program. Can we just continue to use this? I said, okay. I already had everything planned in Edmodo, trying to be sophisticated, because I knew there was not a platform. But sure, why? As a teacher, we need to be flexible, and we go with the democracy. We go with the majority leads in that particular instance. In this particular course, everyone was using the same tool. Everyone had access. There are other times when I want to use something with Google Classroom, and guess what? There are 5 people that are anti-Google. So they don't have a Google account, which means it's going to be complicated for them to get in and create and let me be a part of the class. So guess what? I have to change to another tool, or I have to somehow, convince them, to get on board with Google, for example. Okay. Students, Lisette. Yeah, Lisette. Sorry about Lisette. What if students have no connection at all? Well, Lisette, that's another challenge that we have. And based on whether our students have a connection or not, and based on our students, that's when we need to decide on what tool we could use or we do not have to use. Okay. And technology is not only about using these types of activities, all these stuff that we talked about today. Technology is about innovating using a device for a different purpose. For example, I remember just a piece of paper is also considered technology. A pencil, when it was first designed, that was technology. Like, wow, a pencil. A pen with ink on the inside was also technology. So you have to understand that the technology is not only all of these gadgets that we have next to us, but technology corresponds to thinking outside the box and using the tools that we have at our disposition to make it a reality. Now, to go back to your question, because I know it's very punctual, is what, Lizette? What do, I've seen. I have not worked I'm not working at this moment, but what we did about 10 years ago, I think it's even longer than 10 years. We had a mobile project where we were working with Pearson Education or Pearson Foundation. I can't remember. Pearson Foundation, yeah, based out of Florida. And basically, what we're doing, we were trying to get to the remote areas of Colombia. We were trying to give them digital content. We were trying to give them something else. So what we did was we loaded up the cell phones with digital content so that the teachers could take it to their classrooms with already fully played data plan so that audio, video, and some other types of activities could be done. That was one way. Another way is that we as teachers, if I have a connection inside my classroom, okay, but my students, they do not have a connection on the outside, then I would take advantage of the time that I have Lisette inside the classroom with my laptop in order to do certain things with them. Obviously, we're talking about group projects, collective activity, collaborative type activities and tasks. But like I said again, it all boils down to the same thing, Lisette. What is my pedagogical intention, and do I need technology to actually help me with the obstacle that I have in my class? If the answer is no, but I don't need it, I don't use it. If the obstacle is yes, then you would figure out a way in order to make that a reality. Hopefully, I answered your question. Cool. Andrea tells me, how can we deal with cyberbullying in the environment? Sure, cyberbullying is another, no, I wouldn't say key area, but it's an area that we have to deal with. Andrea, cyberbullying, once again, clear instructions, clear rules and guidelines, and also clear. Punishment is not the word, but I should say clear agreements as to if you do not follow through, what will happen to you. Okay, how does that? How does consequence? Wait, thank you so much, Angie. Can't you see I'm losing? I'm just losing all my language. Consequences, Angie. Thank you so much. So clear consequences. You're so right. So when we're using the tools, whatever they may be, there should be what I call them essential agreements. How to talk, how to communicate, how to interact. I even give my students a class, even the graduate students, they have a list at the beginning of the semester on how to use the emoticons, how to use the emotions in the virtual world. So how to use the keyboard. Okay, if I do this, using, I say all caps, it's considered um offensive. It's considered rude. If I do this, if I use that, you see what I'm getting at? So I have to also teach my students etiquette. Okay, I have to teach them that. But also, there need to be clear consequences. When I'm talking about a school environment, colegio school environment, usually in el manual de convivencia, the student handbook, there is, should be nowadays with the new ones, there should be a section on how to deal with social media and how to deal with using technologies within the classrooms. And there should be, if not, because there was just a mandate that came out years ago, and there should be some spaces on there in terms of how to deal. This is, falta leve, grave, etc. So these are some things that I can tell you, Andrea, but observation is why cyberbullying takes place. We, as teachers, we are not observing. We are not paying attention, and we are not keen as to what's going on. That's why lots of times the bullying takes place. Students are bored, they don't know what to do, and we are not paying attention. So I would invite us to look. Okay, what type of consequences apply for inappropriate behavior? Well, some of that, depending on the type of behavior, I would say, Laura, for example, maybe they would get a 0 on their assignment. They would maybe get 50% on an assignment. They would get less than. Maybe they will not have an opportunity to do something the next time. But I am much more formativa. In what sense? I like to get them to do things that's going to help them learn as to what took place. So if they couldn't do it right now, I would get them to do an extra report. I would get them to do, I don't know, record a couple of videos. I would get them to edit other videos. I would get them to do, for example, I should say, community type activities. For example, why we should do certain things or why we shouldn't do certain things. I am much more for using positive language. So I would say why we should act, why we should do certain things. You see, I stay away from the negative. The negative is going to what? Instill more negative behavior. So these are some of the ways in which we can deal with some of these, I should say, negative things that take place in the classroom. But cyberbullying is a very serious offense. It needs to be dealt with, needs to be organized, needs to be looked at, and we need to once again have things in place at an institutional level, but also at a classroom level. Because as the institution is here, see, and manual de convivencia, etc., it's como lejos for a lot of people. We need to have it here, cerquitica. So I call it what? Essential agreements in the classroom as to what you can do or what you should even do, even more so. Okay, and if you do not do one or the other, this is what could happen, what should happen, what will happen, etc. Okay, super. Inappropriate behavior by using the social media. Yeah, I talked about that one. How would you handle live participation with big groups, especially with all of them talk at the same time? That's another problem we have. Sure. Essential agreements at the very beginning, Laura. Most of the software that we have, Laura, is including the one that we're talking with today. I, as a moderator, I can mute all of everyone in the classroom. So in my class, in my face-to-face classes, when my students they talk too much, what do? I don't yell stop. No, I become silent myself, and I wait, and I say I try to get them to be quiet for a few minutes, and if they don't, I just wait a few minutes. The same thing. The silent treatment works in an online environment. What do I say? Chicos, remember, mute your microphones. Chicos, guess what? We have to take a break. Chicos, 1 second. Until you stop, I cannot finish with my class. Otherwise, you're going to do something else. I take a minute, I give them 2 minutes, and then I can also mute the microphones. I can mute all the microphones at the same time as a moderator, which means that they realize they're on mute. I can't hear. They can only hear me, and we move on. One. Two, we need to have clear rules like netiquette. Netiquette, meaning that, and we need to know how to type and interact. We also need to know how to deal with large groups. Large groups, they are great, but they can also be a pain in a boop boop if they're not managed well online. So tell them at the beginning, remind them, like I did here in the class today. Remember, please mute your microphones. Please, if you have a question, you put it in the chat box. Please, if you want to tell me something, raise your hand. But please, only one at a time, because imagine the dogs barking, the mom's cooking, the dad's trying to tell you to do something, the car meow, going by every 2 seconds. Way too much. Yes. Is there a way to mute? Yes. Depending on the software louder that you have, it allows you to mute where students cannot unmute. There are different levels of access. And so, yes, there is a way that you can mute all of the microphones at once. Here, I can do it here in my classroom. I go at the very top, and it's me, and I have 41 people in my class. And I'm going to say, I need some options. I want mute all, and I just mute everyone, automatic. Boom, gone. If you talk or not, no big deal. I'm the only one that can say. And then it tells me, okay, I can unmute all. Okay, and so I have that option here as well. You see them get, that's for the software that I'm using at the moment. But depending on the software, most of the software platforms, they have the same option. Okay, I am using this is Blackboard Collaborate. I'm using Blackboard Collaborate in order to deliver this webinar. We use it. It's user friendly. There are several different versions of Blackboard. This one here is called Blackboard Collaborate. There are several different ones. This is a web-based one, because there's another one with the software similar to WebEx and a few others. But this is a bit lighter for you as a user, because you can just, click enter and you're in. Not a problem. I'm able to draw. I'm able to raise my hand. I can type on the screen. I can do all kinds of things here. So it's all good as well. I can type. So like I said again, I can do lots of things here as well. Allows me to do several things. There are other versions of the same software that are much more robust, but guess what? It becomes much heavier for the user, meaning that your software needs to be updated every time you go in. You have to make sure you're on point. Otherwise, the experience is not going to work well. It's not a free version. This is a paid version. So yes, it's a paid version. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so chicos, it has been a pleasure. I was going to type a couple things in here for you. Totally, I really enjoyed the experience today. I hope that you guys also enjoyed it like I did. There are lots of things going on out there. There's lots of information. I use these, I should say, these are opportunities for us, once again, to do lots of things, much more with, because why? I mean, the sky's the limit. This is only the tip of the iceberg, like I just said again, the tip of the iceberg that we're working on right now. I do so many more. This is another link to another article that we talk about with blogs that you can also take a look at as well, with blogs, because blogs are also interesting in that particular instance as well. All right. So in order to close up, got a couple of announcements here. Well, for starters, you guys have been an awesome crowd. So once again, thank you very much for joining in with me. Remember that I'm going to be uploading the video within 24 hours. So by tomorrow, you will have this on our fan page as well. Just in case you want to share the information, you want to look at it again, or you want to talk about with some of your colleagues. All right. We greatly appreciate your attention in tonight's sessions. And next week, guess what? Next week on May 26th, we've got another presentation. It's going to be on how can teachers overcome the gap between language theories and practice. How can teachers overcome the gap between language theories and practice? And that's another opportunity for us to once again interact and do some things. Where am I from? Well, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston, originally. However, I have made Bogota, Colombia, my home for about 2 decades now, close to 20 years. Can you imagine? Yeah, so I am from Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, and so next week, this is what we're going to have next week. You get a chance to talk about that, figure out what's going on. And like I said again, sure, for next week's session, yes, tomorrow it's going to be out. Tomorrow on the social media, it's going to be going all around, Judith. And so invite your friends to come over, invite your colleagues, etc., so they can get to know about what's going on. And we would be more than happy to interact and listen from you. And if you guys, if in the case I did not answer any of your questions today, if you did not, I would really appreciate if you send me an email, drop me a line in social media, say hi to me, and I would be more than happy to answer some of those questions that you have. Okay, all right. So, Lizette, how can we create a webinar about how we can evaluate students? Thank you, Lizette. I will look that up. I will see what we can do. Maybe adjust one of the ones that we have coming up because we already have a program, but I would be more than happy to put that in evaluation. Actually, at the university, I was at one today, how we should be able to evaluate our students. We've been working on that all month at Universidad La Sabana, working on evaluation and things of that nature. So I will put something together, Lizette, and we will be sure to let you know. Okay? Awesome. Chicos, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Chocuano, ooh, thank you. That's another compliment. Every time I speak, I get something extra out there. Thank you so much, Uriel. But yeah, I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I've been speaking Spanish now for about 35 years. I still have issues, yes, right. I still have problems, but that's is what makes me unique from you. And well, I will go to my grave with these uh, issues, but it's all good. But thank you so much. You guys have a great night, and hopefully, looking forward to seeing each and every one of you next week.